This is the hard-hitting, it's all uphill lab, okay? And what the students do is they measure the goal is to figure out how much work it is to roll a cart up the ramp to this height, okay? To do that, they got to measure the force and the distance, right? So they'll pick a particular steepness of the ramp, like this maybe, right? And what they have to do is measure that force. And I always tell them to zero these force scales, right? Measure that force like this, right? So what is that force? They don't need to actually move it up the ramp, right? I tell them to keep this perpendicular or parallel to this, right? And make sure they don't twist it, because they like to hook it on here like this, and then twist the thing so that they can read it. And of course, then the force scale can't actually move, right? So they read the force, and then to measure the distance along the ramp that you'd have to travel to go from there up, right? And I have them do it in meters. So like right now it's 61 centimeters, so it would be 0.61 meters, right? 2.6 newtons or whatever that was, right? Times that would give you the amount of work to make it go up the ramp, right? Okay, and then once they do that, they're gonna do 4 variations of steepness. So maybe they'll do like the whole ramp, like this, like this, like this, and then they multiply them together. And what happens is, of course, there's a couple questions, right? One is, what's the relationship between force and distance? And they can usually nail that one, right? And then what about the force times distance? They'll make a column that's force times distance. And those all kind of are ballparkish, but they're not quite the same, right? So I always sort of ask an open-ended question, like, what's up with that column, right? And of course, what it means is it's the amount of work to take it up there, and it doesn't matter whether it's a short, steep hill or a long, gradual hill, right? It's all about the same amount of work. Now, it would be cool to do this. I've had limited success doing this, is have 5 different heights of ramps. This would be the highest, and then you could go down like that. And they could average their force times distances, right? And you could give them a shared document, and they could type in the height of their ramp and then the average of their force times distance. And you'll see it, obviously they'd see a correlation with that. And I've tried that with moderate success. Anyway, the scale that we use is a 5 Newton scale. These carts, not too steep a ramp. Anyway, it's a pretty good lab. I got it from Prisms, which stands for something. It's some workshop I went to. It's sort of the last remaining Prisms thing I do.